John Bon Jovi. Is it true that you spent nearly 5 years learning to act, and 2 of those years you just didn't tell your other guys in Bon Jovi?
Yes, but the story's somewhat romanticized, and we weren't in constant contact during those 2 years. It was the period while I was making the Young Guns record, and the subsequent success of that record led me to want to make other records like that, and I figured this would be my outlet from the band, and the only way I can get my hands on these scripts eventually was to go to an acting lesson and, you know, then rediscover classic plays and books. And all the while, they were influencing songwriting. It took quite a while for me to get the courage up to want to go to an audition, to care about wanting to get into the film business. But eventually I thought, hey, why not? I didn't know if I was going to follow through on it anyhow, but at the time just considered it an outlet. You know, and what went from becoming a hobby and an outlet has become more of a passion.
What did he say to you, the guy who taught you? Did he say, you're great at projection, but you're not so good at this, or you need to do this exercise and not that one?
You had to understand that I've only taken lessons now for this 5 or 6 years with the same guy. And it would be like taking acting lessons from Harvey Keitel. It could be the epitome of a New Yorker in this basement apartment, one-on-one all these years, and he sort of sits there with his cigars and looks at you and he goes, you suck. Looks back down, and then that's it, you know. But I've gone over the 5 years from the first day I remember so well, you know, with my legs crossed, my arms folded, and this classic play in my face, to learning how to, you know, put it down, uncrossing my legs and projecting and, you know, learning the craft as I've gone along.
We have a kind of sex scene in The Leading Man. You're with Thandie Newton and you're fondling her breasts and this and that. Did you have any reservations about it?
No. I think that our goal as actors in that scene was to make it as sensual as possible and make love to the camera, seduce the camera. And she was a very willing partner, and John was a very willing director. So I don't think either of us had any reservations about the scene.
Because I also heard somewhere that you said that if you had to put on 20 pounds and you had to shave your hair, you would do that.
Sure.
You want to spread right across the movie spectrum. You want to become...
An actor.
What? You want to become a proper actor.
Absolutely. I said I was a mercenary at heart. What? I said I was a mercenary. What does that mean? I could seduce your wife. Are you crazy? I'm dead serious. Not for fame and not for celebrity, but for the opportunity to grow as an artist.
Okay, so you're telling me then that if you're going to do it, you have to have control over it. You have to absolutely be certain about which road you're going to take.
I think if you're going to do it, you have to do it from your gut, not from your wallet.
It's hard, though, isn't it, to do it from your gut, isn't it?
No, fortunately, I have a great day job, so none of my decisions are made for money or in fear.
What about control, though?
I'm a control freak.
Yeah, I know, because I remember there's a lyric somewhere, destination anywhere, left or right, I don't care. That's right, isn't it? I don't care.
Destination anywhere, name the place, and I'll be there. Pack a bag and we're out of here.
But you care. You care.
Okay, well, now, 1996, I moved to London, England. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I was on my way and absolutely said, I don't know, and I don't care. I'm just going to go out and find a new avenue here.
But against your very nature. I said against you, because you, it seems to me, over all these years, have had a very firm control over your band, over your music, over what you want out of your career. Haven't you?
It's a benevolent dictatorship, though.
What does that mean? You smile. You smile
Your
a lot.
opinion is welcome. It's not taken, but no, it's obviously taken.
So where does it come from? Before you go any further, where does that trait come from? Where does John Bon Jovi get that trait from?
I just realized 7 years ago, after those 2 back-to-back huge records, that we were becoming a part of a machine. We were doing things to satisfy others instead of ourselves. Slippery comes out and we become this multi-million-dollar corporation, and now all of a sudden people are whispering not only in my ear but the other band members' ears and trying to cause a friction and allies within the camp, you know, or against other allies. And I says, stop, time out. I fired the management, the lawyers, the agents, everything, and I says, look, if it fails from here on out, at least it failed because of the decisions I made. And if you're willing to come with me, this is what I think can happen. And they believed it.
But where does the fun come in, John?
It did. It came in from that day on.
When you talk about fun, are we talking about when you go out on stage and you see these people there, when you see these, okay, women? Wanting you to sing, wanting you to perform. I mean, does that give you, it must give you the push, it must give you the adrenaline fix.
It's great. You know, last tour we played 3 nights at Wembley Stadium and 2 nights at Milton Keynes. Pretty amazing. It's a lot of fun stepping out on that stage and doing what it is that we do. But it's not an egotistical adrenaline rush out there of I am me. I could care less. I could perform for the 10 of you in this room and get the same rush of performing and want to do it as well. I'm not that kind of a megalomaniac on the stage.
So, when you said you weren't very promiscuous, and that's another line I picked up, does that mean that you're not very promiscuous as far as other rock stars are concerned? Or does it mean you're not very promiscuous as far as the ordinary guy in the street is concerned?
Well, those are probably 2 different extremes, aren't they?
Yeah.